let's get into our very next podcast. These are local guys who I have had the privilege of being right next to at a PopCon, and now have the privilege of getting to talk with and bring on to our podcast marathon. Please welcome the entire crew, most of the crew here from the Established Facts. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. How you doing?
Welcome to the party. So let me ask, because you are an integral part of the PopCon family and have been for a long time. How are you guys doing with this being virtual? What's been great about it? Is there anything you're missing other than having a table right next to me who never shuts up? How you doing?
Well,
I want to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know how long it's been since I've seen these faces?
I'm saying. I think that what one of the things that I have found to be a challenge is that in this time, obviously trying to be responsible for our own health and the health of the people that we love, who most of which are also on our podcast. I was looking back and I've realized that outside of getting together every once in a while and see each other in game, we haven't actually gotten a chance to record in almost 4 months. And it's been just hectic with, different schedules and trying to get it's hard enough just to schedule on a regular basis, but then having to deal with, with social distancing and making sure that we're taking care of each other and we're taking care of ourselves. It's definitely been a challenge that we've had to try and figure out how to overcome. But I'm excited that we have this opportunity to kind of all sit together at the table. And especially, KJ, you said last year we got a chance to hang out with you guys right next to us. And that was so much fun, being able to meet your crew and you guys being able to meet us and just kind of like, hamming back and forth, because that's definitely, I think, what we're probably best at. So
we have that in common for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am officially going to step out of this and let the Established Facts podcast take over our PopCon marathon.
All right. Well, hey, everybody.
Well, I'm trying to leave.
Oh, that's all right. You don't have to.
There's a member right there, KJ.
Just ignore me. My mouse isn't letting me leave.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Well, to I guess kind of get this thing rolling in a semi-traditional sense. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Virtual PopCon, PopCon 2020. Is this year 6, 7 now? I can't remember anymore. I've slept a lot since then.
It's the year that we've been at every one of them.
The year that we've been at every one. That's right. Whatever the year is, that's the year that we're on. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I want to welcome everybody to Virtual PopCon. Thank you so much for checking us out. We are the Established Facts. And to give this a proper introduction, this is episode 213 of the Established Facts, and we're going to go around. Let's ladies first. Go ahead and introduce ourselves on the mics, and then get into just a little bit of chatter. So,
I'm Avital.
I'm Virtual Lance.
This is still Josh.
That's right. And this, of course, is still your host, Big Don. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us at Virtual PopCon this year. So Josh and I were just talking a few minutes before off the mics, as we tend to do, and came to realize that not only is this our 213th episode, which would probably obviously be a lot higher if we had been able to get together previous to this. But I will say that there are a lot of celebrations that we can have with this episode, because as of this episode, we have been podcasting for now 9 years as the Established Facts here locally in Indianapolis. And we have had all sorts of, we've had changes in the cast itself. We've had changes in, obviously, the environment around us, not just locally. I think we're recording. Josh and I are actually recording in his home. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the third home of the Established Facts, if you will, because we started in Josh's apartment, and then we went and moved primarily to Josh and Deb's first home, and now we're in Josh and Deb's second home. And so there's been a lot of changes over the last 9 years and over the last 213 episodes. And there's probably a couple of episodes I'm forgetting, or some that we've done that we never actually got saved. But
episode 109.
Oh, episode 109. That's right. the episode that never really existed, but actually existed.
Yep.
But I would like to hear from Avital and Lance real quick, or not real quick, but just talk to us a little bit about how you guys are feeling about, the environment that we are all kind of dealing with, and trying to figure out how we can continue to be really close gaming family, and also podcasting, and how we can continue to contribute to our culture in gaming in this sense. Anyone of you?
That's a big question, Don. I mean, this whole situation is learning. Everybody has to learn how to deal with it. I've done a lot more video chats with my family and friends than I ever did before. Things like that. It's hard to do things like LARP and play tabletop games when you can't get together. But as we learn, what things we have available to us, like it gets easier. Like the digital gaming gets easier as we get more used to using the different platforms we have available to us. And I find that I have to be more proactive about approaching people, because I don't do that ever really. Like people are just telling me, oh, this thing is happening at this time. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there. And if things aren't happening as much, then, I personally have to learn more to reach out to my friends more than I'm used to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't think things have changed very much for me. I'm a stay-home parent, so my house is my office. So everything else closing down, my office never closed. So I've been here doing the exact same thing the whole time. I just have added family members to my gaming. So now, instead of my wife going off to work or my daughter going off to school, we're all at home, so we can all play games. We can all do things together. Like the going out to the grocery store was a bit of a hassle.
Yeah,
because they closed early. I'm a night guy, you know that. I'm a middle of the night person, so I couldn't go to the grocery store at 2:00 in the morning. So I had to wrap my schedule around that. But otherwise, really nothing's changed. I have actually found new ways of doing old things. So instead of getting together, like sometimes I'll play a console game and invite friends to come play. Or recently, we've started doing like Zoom tabletop gamings where 2 board games exist in different places and we're all moving the pieces at the same time. But not much has changed here, really. Just miss you guys.
Right. I think Josh and I were actually talking about that yesterday, that Lance, that you and Vanessa have been playing games with Josh and Deb through Zoom, because you guys have the same, like, copies of the same games and stuff like that, to be able to just kind of lay it out and have the cameras there so that you can all see the boards and the pieces and moving things around and allowing, like, I think, what game were you guys talking about, Josh? Ghostbusters.
Yeah, we played the Ghostbusters board game.
That's right.
It did create some ingenuity, yeah, because we had to figure out how we're going to put a camera on basically a music stand, so that we could tip the screen down so the camera could show the board. It's finding new ways to do the same old things.
Yeah.
And I like it. What about you guys?
I think the one thing that I have been doing a lot more of is, and I love playing console games, but I have not had nearly the amount of time to play console games in my recent past until all of this started going on. And then I find myself, I never thought I would be somebody who would enjoy games like Minecraft and stuff like that. But the fact that, and it may be the fact that my 11-year-old and my 8-year-old really like Minecraft, that we all sit down on the couch and kick on the Xbox and all play Minecraft together. So I agree with you. I think what's interesting is that I'm observing that I'm trying to be more purposeful with the time that I have, because at the end of the day, if I've just sat around all day and not actually done anything active, I just feel like I want to, pull my hair out. The other thing is too, because of the lockdown and things like that, the company I was working for, I'm no longer working for. So I'm at home a lot more than I was previously. And so that's another thing, is just trying to stay productive with my time at home when I'm not just hanging out and playing board games or playing video games and stuff like that. And then still adding that into my daily schedule or regular schedule anyhow, so that I can spend active, productive time with my family and active, productive time with, job related stuff, whether it's searching for a job or helping a friend out with something, or, just trying to be active in that sense. So
I know for me, just truth be told, I know Don is the same, and I know a lot of our other podcasters are not, but being the extrovert that we are, when you go from being able to go pretty much anywhere and talk to whoever and do whatever you want, to having to set up your office in your bedroom and your introverted wife is going back and forth to work, and you're going back and forth to your bedroom to work, as the extrovert, was a little bit of a challenge. But from a gaming perspective, I think we had a really cool realization, because thus far Deb and I have been able to go to PaizoCon, which is normally in Seattle. We were going to go to Origins online, which is normally in Columbus, but those who haven't heard, that ended up getting canceled. But at the same time, Paizo came behind and ran this thing called Concurrent, allowing for Pathfinder Society and Starfinder Society games to go on, because Origins didn't have enough room for all the games they wanted to run. And then when Origins canceled, they just did all the games through Concurrent. So we were able to do that. And now we're doing Virtual PopCon, and we're going to try and do Gen Con online. So we've actually been able to attend more conventions that we wouldn't have been able to, because we didn't have to go.
Yeah.
Living room con.
Living room cons. That's right.
That's it.
We've had, of course, fun Zoom meetings and Diablo 3 sessions that resulted in the ultimately untimely death of my 14-year-old PlayStation 3. May it rest in peace. Poor thing.
The wizard killed it,
I guess. But I was able to load it up enough to get my character up in the cloud. Still got to see if I can get Deb's character up there, so that hopefully when the PlayStation 4 or 5, when people buy a 5, if Diablo 3 works on it, we can continue playing at that time. But we started a new game. I finished 2 role-playing games. I did one with work for the Fall of Plaguestone for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and finally finished the Emerald Spire Super Dungeon from Pathfinder 1st Edition. Lots of board games. Deb and I have been. I bought a steering wheel for the computer and PlayStation 4, so my wife and I can play racing games. You find ways to enjoy it, and sometimes, as I said, it's buying your feelings. But it really, that's what it's been about, is finding ways to spend time with the family and reaching out, like Avital said, and finding ways to game with the others that you would normally game with in the same room, but find other ways to do it.
Yeah, I think, building off of kind of what we're all talking about, what's been really interesting is just figuring out what things, in the panel that Josh and I were in yesterday with our friend Peter, we talked about podcasting and how he and I, Josh and I have been podcasting together now for 9 years. And Peter asked us what has made the relationship between Josh and I so concrete. And I think that I'm going to use the same, or at least a similar analogy to what I used yesterday is kind of knowing, what I said yesterday was one of the things is knowing what hill you're going to die on. And I think that you can still use a similar mentality to where we're at now in knowing what things are the most important in your current life the way it is, and what things you're willing to just, either do without or completely eliminate, and being able to find value in the opportunities that you do have, and think so hard about the things that you can't do, because obviously if you can't do them, if you don't have the control to do them, then what we need to do is we need to find an opportunity to just enhance what occasions we do have to get together, and whether it be podcasting or gaming or just having dinner together or just talking on the phone or something, like getting back to some of those older sensibilities that generations before us have had, and really prioritizing the things that we actually find to be, uplifting, whether it be culturally uplifting or personally uplifting, or uplifting with your family or your friends or something like that. Focusing on those things instead of focusing on the things that we don't really have a lot of control over, or that we can't change right now, or things that we are in the process of changing. I want to talk a little bit about
funeral.
What's that? Sorry.
We call that the funeral situation. The people that are most important to you are the ones that'll show up at your funeral. You've got your close friends, you've got your distance friends, you've got your internet and social media friends who you may not even see. They're just people that you know online.
Yeah.
The people that are going to be at your funeral, the people who are around you every day, the people that matter the most are the ones you're going to spend more time with, especially when you can't go out and socialize and do those things.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's who we've been focusing on. Not that I don't love hanging out with my friends, but getting a more focused relationship, even though we're all together usually, especially with my kids, my wife, my in-laws, my mom,
right.
Just deepening that already deep relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've found personally what's been very interesting is that there are relationships that I have had with friends that have just been somewhat casual relationships that I have really sought to mature in a lot of ways, that I don't know that would have been as much of a priority, or wasn't much of a priority when, we were doing the normal 9 to 5 or our regular, recording schedule or our regular gaming schedule, or what have you. Like, kind of realizing that there are a lot of people that I haven't gotten a chance to see in a long time, or I haven't gotten a chance to really build on that foundation of the relationship that we have, that I am now really prioritizing that time, to be able to, even if it's just reaching out and having a conversation or something like that, people that I went to middle school with that meant a lot to me, or people that I went to high school with that meant a lot to me that I haven't talked to in years. And then just taking that time to say, hey, I just want you to know that even though we may not talk or we may not see each other, our relationship previously has meant a lot to me. And I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you. And, that if you need anything, or if you need someone to talk to or something like that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, because I am here. And even though there's distance, like, in a sense, distance, whether it be physical distance or time, can make the heart grow fonder, if you will, to use kind of a cliche line, but just being able to understand that the relationships that we do have with each other are really meaningful relationships if we put the priority into building off of those and kind of creating that foundation. So one thing that I'd like to talk about, that I know would probably be fairly easy for us to talk about, we've been talking about a lot of the things that we have changed, or things that we have adapted to what is our current norm when it comes to gaming or when it comes to communicating. But the established facts, like I said earlier, we're 9 years old, and so there's a lot of things that have changed or that we've gotten a chance to do over the almost 10 years that we've been recording, that I kind of want to think back on and kind of talk a little bit about. So you're
changing the subject.
Yeah, I'm changing the subject. Yeah. Because it's important.
My notes.
Yeah, right. Throw the notes away. It's important for us to focus on what we're currently going through, but I also want to talk a little bit about where we've come from to get to where we are now. And for anyone who may be interested in doing a podcast, or for someone who might be interested in getting into gaming, and maybe they have a fantasy author or a game designer that they've really enjoyed what they've produced. I know that we have some insights on that sort of thing. And what's funny is normally we would do an episode, like a pre-con episode, what you should do before you go to a convention. Well, it just so happens that at this point, what you should do before you go to convention is make sure your mic and your headphones work. And that's kind of the deal. Make sure you have a good internet connection
beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like exactly. But what I'd like to start with Lance, if that's okay, or I can start with Josh if Lance, you want a little bit extra time to write new notes. But I would like to hear what one or two of your favorite moments over the last 9 years that it. And Lance, I know you and Avital have not been day oneers, but you've been around us and you've been with the podcast for long enough to have some really significant things that you've gotten a chance to contribute with or be affected by when it comes to being a part of the Established Facts podcast. So I just want to talk a little bit about some of those moments before we get into, talking about a couple of other things.
Why don't we round robin this? So one person say one thing and then another and then another. So it goes around so we don't repeat each other, or we don't say he took all of mine. Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to start. I figured I would just start with you or Josh.
That's fine. I'll go. Yeah. So getting to be part of the ground up for one of the FutureCon events, I think that was really good for me. Contributing to it, taking part in it, running a game, after having seen my friends run games, and finally having the confidence to say, you know what, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to jump in and not just play, but also contribute. And I wouldn't have done that without this podcast.
Okay. We have a Dr. Deb in the background.
Hi, Deb.
Joshy, what would you say is something that over the last 9 years has been really significant to you in your podcasting history, or something that just really kind of changed your perspective on what we're doing?
So I joked about episode 109, which over time I have a feeling the number's going to change. Like one day it's going to be 112, because I honestly don't remember what number it was. It probably was more like an episode 9-ish, like earlier on.
Yeah.
But in that moment, when the realization hit that I had completely lost an hour and a half worth of work, everyone just looked and went, well, see you guys tomorrow.
Yep.
Let's do it again.
And we came back together, because the same thing happened again with Lance. I remember that because I managed to, we would recorded 2 episodes and I saved one of them.
I remember that.
Oh yeah. Managed to save one after looking at my wife.
And it was like an in-between episode that we missed. Like it was in a series. Yeah. We had done like episodes 1, 2, and then like 4, and lost 3 and had to go back and do 3.
But man, every time that has happened, there's never really been any anger. Everybody was just like, you know what, it happens. Let's just keep going. And I think that really stands a lot for the teamwork that our podcast has always had. And even as the guy who was freaked out and probably ready to throw his laptop, I still felt pretty good knowing that everybody was willing to just go with it and reorganize. And we came back together in both instances and knocked it out of the park.
I agree. Avital.
Well, I say the first thing I'll go with is just so the first Indie PopCon in 2014. I was not a part of the podcast, but I said that I would help them with the table at the con, and that is actually the only time I've ever bought a badge for PopCon.
I mean, we completely financially support this convention, just to be very clear.
Absolutely.
We support them in other ways than buying badges. But I bought my badge, and then I spent basically my entire weekend just sitting at the table with you guys helping out. Before I was a part of the podcast, but that weekend was the first time that I was ever on a recording.
That's right.
Was at the table there. And that was
It's a very simple interview process. It's hey, you're here.
You want to be on?
And then it wasn't too long after that Josh was like, "Hey, so," and I was like, "That sounds great."
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time.
That's crazy. I can't believe that was 2014.
Yep.
My goodness.
Googled to make sure what the first Indie PopCon was.
Yeah. Well, I know you're not on a camera per se, Dr. Deb, but you are. You just so happen to be sitting next to your. Hey, there we are. All right.
This screen is going a whole lot better.
There you go.
Oh, that's adorable.
That's right. Dr. Deb. Something that since because you're day one.
Where's John?
Day one.
She's smiling.
Day one. I was pre-day one.
You were probably day zero.
I was, yes.
Episode 0.
It was done in our apartment, if I recall correctly. So
yeah.
I was, yeah.
So since the beginning, what is something that really kind of stands out as a breakthrough moment, or something that really, after 9 years, really does kind of stand out to you as kind of a really cool moment, or a pinnacle to 9 years of recording?
The Tracy Hickman interviews, especially the first one that I ever got to sit in on, definitely stand out. I remember the first one and being like, "Oh my gosh, that's Tracy Hickman." Like he's like, okay, he's not a god, but he's like in gaming world, like his creativity.
No, he creates gods.
That's actually exactly. And his creativity and the impact and the input that he's put into so much in the gaming world. And then to listen to him speak, he's eloquent, he's gracious. He's got some hilarious stories. I mean, I just wanted to listen to him talk and just be like, just talk. I know just talk. I don't care. Just let him talk more. Because it was so much that he had to share about his experiences and his thoughts about gaming and the gaming world and how we interact with each other. And Gen Con, he'd been to so many Gen Cons. So I loved every single time I got to sit in on the Tracy Hickman podcast and getting to hear his work with The Void. And I was so excited for him because it seemed like it was something that he was just really passionate and excited about. And he got to work with his son. And I was so happy for him. I felt, I'm like, I know I'm not a family member, but I feel just like, Uncle Tracy, I'm so happy for you. That sort of idea. So I love those.
I would have to say probably one of the more significant things that stands out into my head. I can still remember episode 1 sitting there with all of our mic stands and trying to figure, like I literally remember us looking at each other and going, so what are we doing? How are we doing this? And 9 years later, we still haven't answered that question. So
that's what we're doing.
That's right.
That's right.
But I would have to say probably one of the more significant things for me isn't even like a podcast moment per se. We were at it may have been PopCon. I know that it was a local convention, and the Hoosier Gamers were running a game room, and I walked in. I don't even think I was wearing an Established Facts t-shirt or anything like that at the time, but I walked in to the game room to borrow a game so that we could sit down. I think it was maybe me and my wife and a couple of other friends to sit down and play a board game. We were going to borrow a board game from the Hoosier Gamers. If you're not familiar with them, they let you borrow board games. And then the gentleman who was sitting at the table, who was checking games back in, I was talking to the person in front of me to get the game that we wanted, and from my right hand side, I just hear, "Are you Big Don from the Established Facts?" And I almost just literally passed out. I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like, "Yes, I am." And he goes, "Man, I love listening to you guys. Like, you guys are so funny when you know." And I'm like, "Well, thank you for lying to me to my face." But but it was just so surreal because when we started the podcast, the idea was there were people that we knew, that we were friends with, that we all had very opinionated stances on gaming and kind of the development of what makes a good game, whether it's a board game or role-playing game or video gaming. And it was always our interest to put something out that people would enjoy just listening to us rant at each other for an hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour or so. But I don't think it ever really came to my mind that other people had been listening and been affected by what we were doing until that moment. And the sad thing is, like, we had several people that were really good friends of ours that we've had conversations with. Lance was one of them. Before Lance started recording, he listened to us and he was like, "You guys drive me nuts because I just want to yell at you when I don't agree with you while I'm listening to the podcast." And so then we were like, "Well, then just sit down and record and yell at us live.
Yell at us on a microphone."
Yeah, but it was so surreal because all of a sudden what we were doing had an impact. People were actually listening, and it's still only 3 or 4 people, but it's okay because 9 years later, we're still doing this and we're still loving what we're doing. And, this is literally a labor of love. It's not something that we make money doing. It's not something that we're seeking sponsorship in doing, unless you're interested. But the point is, like, this has been a passion of all of ours, whether we knew it or not, because it's become a passion of all of ours. From the first episode, from the first time we all sat in front of a mic, really confused on what we were going to do, to now where we're still really confused on what we're going to do. But I think that what's great about it is knowing that there are people out there that value other opinions, that value other outlooks in life. And I think that, and this is not a PSA per se, but the idea of us being able to take that same mentality and apply it to the rest of the world around us is so important to me, because what I want people to know is that the Established Facts is a group of friends and family that want to continue to add to our group of friends and family, and that we look out for each other and that we love each other, and that it's doing a podcast for this long. You start to realize that it's so much more than just sitting in front of a microphone and recording your own voice. We can all do that, especially in this day and age. We can all do that very easily, but then also wanting to hear what someone's opinion, whether they be agreeing or disagreeing with you, could be. And we've always been a podcast that has shot to be apolitical and a-religious and someone who wants to listen to every side and wants to hear. And it's, we use it in gaming. So that's really easy because we're all passionate about that. But we're also very passionate, I think, as individuals about other individuals. And I think that that's one side effect that has been a positive side effect for a lot of us, is being able to reach out to people that, we don't know, people that we've never met, and learn about them, and to create that foundational relationship. We didn't know Tracy Hickman outside of him being, a New York Times bestselling author until we asked him to sit down with us. And now I can tell you that he's one of the coolest guys in the world to just sit down and talk to, much less record something with, because, he and his wife are so passionate about what they're doing, and you can't help but just invest yourself in that passion.
Kind of get swept along.
Yeah, it's incredible.
With the investment he's put in his life into it. And I agree. I agree completely.
Yeah.
I love talking to Tracy Hickman.
So I feel like kind of where I want to transition now is I would like for you guys, Lance and Avital and Josh and Deb, kind of talk to us a little bit about how you feel, or where you feel we're going to go in the next steps. One of the things that we talk about a lot is, where's gaming going to go within the next 2 years? We've talked about like virtual gaming, and now we're virtual conning, which is really kind of interesting. But in general, like using kind of the experiences that we are dealing with right now, in what the future looks like, where do you guys kind of see a lot of these things going, and what sort of positive or maybe negative side effects do you see happening with a lot of the changes that we are currently making?
I see a lot of positives. I struggle with that because I very much would rather be in person and as much of these opportunities. But I think this got mentioned a little bit in our career and entertainment panel. That was for those that have your PopCon tickets. It was at 4 o'clock yesterday.
Yeah.
So go check it out on demand, as KJ mentioned. But a virtual presence is almost going to be a requirement now, I think, for a lot of these bigger conventions. What I kind of mentioned with PopCon is I don't know if PopCon will necessarily run a virtual convention at the exact same time as PopCon, but I fully expect them to do a virtual one, say they would do a virtual one 6 months and a physical one 6 months. They may do something virtual during the physical so that people can feel like they're directly involved. But PaizoCon, I'm sure, learned a huge lesson with their virtual presence because they ran over 1,200 games over the weekend, which they usually run about, I think, 800 at Gen Con.
Yeah.
And
that's 1,200 games with a minimum of 4 to 5 people at a table.
Yeah. And they normally only have 2,000 attendees.
Yeah.
And if 1,200 at 4 to 6 is 4,800 to 7,200 people,
that's insane.
Those are huge opportunities for conventions like that.
Yeah.
And
Gen Con's doing something similar with their event tickets and stuff. It's like $2 for each event ticket.
Yeah.
But that is a great way to be able to still maintain or at least raise funds for your organization without it costing us, a lot of money in passes and tickets and things like that, and them a lot of money in travel and sponsorships and stuff like that. That's a really good point.
And for those podcasters or streamers or celebrities or whoever that are just not physically able to make it, but want to be involved or have the opportunity to be involved. I don't know if anybody has seen this Cameo thing online. Apparently celebrities give you the ability to pay X amount and they'll send you a 2 to 3 minute video clip. This is a similar opportunity for these conventions. They're charging anywhere from $25 to $50 just like they would at a physical convention. But as KJ mentioned, you get 3 minutes, just you and the celebrity, to have a video conversation.
That's
those are
cool.
Those are really great opportunities. And for gaming, goodness, I could go on and on about how great Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds and Discord and all these things have been for this world. Zoom probably had no idea they were going to blow up to the ability that they did.
Crazy. It's crazy.
which of course has in a capitalist society forced Microsoft and Google and Facebook to all step up their games.
Yeah, which is great because we're all
Go capitalism.
that's it. We are all benefiting from that. Currently, we're all benefiting from that sort of thing. So, Deb.
So I had an idea that came to me as Josh was like, "Oh, I have an idea!" Like, the kindergartner who's swinging her hand in the air. What would happen if at some of these bigger conventions, so your Gen Cons and your Dragon Cons and Comic-Con, what if you could pay money to be in a virtual game run by a Tracy Hickman? Or
I take all my money right now.
Yes. Amen.
Or
$1 billion.
help me the other big names.
Matt Mercer, Joe Manganiello, Bob
Salvatore. I'm just trying to think some of these, what if Margaret Weiss would be willing to run a game? Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness, you could say you were in a game with world famous authors and creators.
I think that would be really cool.
It would be amazing. And I think that would be a great chance. Or if you're a game master, to be in a game run by one of them. I mean, talk about like a master class. So they could do that.
Yeah.
Gaming master class.
There could be breakfast.
That also brings
and maybe you actually have breakfast.
Actual breakfast at a Hickman breakfast.
You still have to provide it yourself, though.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to cook it yourself, but
I mean, I'll show up with some Lucky Charms. I don't care.
I'll come up with Long's Donuts. Heck
yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Oh yeah. So that was one thought I had. The other one is I know it's been podcasting, but at the moment we're podcasters on video. So I really think that for us personally, I think that the next step is stepping up our game a little bit and moving and getting comfortable with video opportunities, which this is one of them. You already mentioned I'm totally experimenting with gaming vlogging. I've been putting some stuff up on the Established Facts YouTube page, practicing video editing because I would like to do some actual plays. I've said that a long time.
And by the way, Lance and Vanessa both have professional videography experience.
I don't think that. I think I only thought it was audio. Legit.
Oh, no. We were videographers and radio people. We did it all.
Okay.
We put together whole newscasts. So
I told you.
If you need help. Thank you for telling her.
It was only audio.
And live, too.
The audio guy. So I'm like, I don't think we got any video people. Well, here then. And you totally. There, that's me tossing it at him. Because actual plays with a board right in front of us, I've wanted to do that for probably a couple years now. And I think now's the time that we could step up and do it. We just, have to be able to actually organize it. Yeah, that whole organizing thing.
Yeah.
But
I think we're slowly trying to get back into these. Let's sit down and schedule. Now that we kind of understand, the ebb and flow of what's going on with us and
exactly
keeping ourselves protected and taking responsibility for that sort of thing. Yeah.
CA responsibility. So those are just my two thoughts. One was a random thought about what cons can do, and one was what I think we should step up into because we have the ability. Obviously, you should see my loft at the moment. We got cords everywhere. Holy cow!
That's a fact.
We got no excuse. That is the established. I see what you did there.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
I'm done now. Somebody else talk.
Well, I was just thinking, not specifically about something we could do, although in the future, I'm sure we could look into it. But I know this is already where technology is heading, but virtual reality is definitely something. So Jason, my husband.
Oh, congratulations,
right. I was gonna give you till the end of the episode.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything. I wanted you to say it first.
Anyways, he is going back to school at IUPUI in the fall. He heard his name. What is tell him what is the program that you're gonna be?
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hello, how are you?
Congratulations.
What's the name of the program?
The Media Arts and Science. Thank you very much. Media Arts and Science Master's Program.
Media Arts and Science Master's Program.
And then I plan to get a PhD in
And
anthropology.
then he wants to get a PhD in anthropology after that. But
Because those are the same.
I mean, they are if you like
What
to
he
do
wants to do.
docu-series.
Have you ever seen a documentary about archaeologists? Someone has to go in front of the camera.
Just saying.
So what he wants to do is he wants to look into using virtual reality and augmented reality to help bring like historical places to life.
Tracy talked about that.
Right. It's that kind of a thing. Like
Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant idea.
we visited the Void when we were down in Orlando in March.
So did we.
Right before everything shut down, and it was great. It's an amazing experience, but Jason's already had some experience like running drones and stuff, and so about the possibility of like using like scanners and things to literally bring these historical places to people that cannot get there, because there are a lot of people that just don't have the means, whether it be it physical or financial, of traveling around the world or even around the country. We have a big country. So just the possibility, like I think virtual and augmented reality has a lot of possibilities, and not just in entertainment value, but also in educational value too. And I really just think that that's a big thing for the world, like going forward. So bringing historical places here, or like say when you're at historical places, like augmented reality, like I can point my phone at this ruin and see like what it actually looked like, and like there's people there like doing things and things like that. Like I just think that for the future in general, and even right now, if the technology was here, it could be really useful just to bring things to people when they can't go to them themselves.
And then we'll just create
kind of VR, like Ready Player One VR, not the bad kind like Lawnmower Man VR.
Right.
So I haven't seen Lawnmower Man, but I do like Ready Player One.
We gotta start somewhere, Lance. Like
he's just being clear. Don't start at Lawnmower Man.
That's right. Just don't
start with Lawnmower.
And then in 20 years we'll just have holodecks, and that's kind of how it works. Yeah.
Star Trek has kind of set the bar for technology for decades.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. You might not have a thing you put on your head, but you'll go into a room and it'll be augmented. You'll have like glasses that are augmented instead of virtual.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. How do I see the face of gaming going? I think online and virtual stuff is going to be in addition to, not instead of.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go back to having our conventions. I think we're going to go back to meetups and group gaming. But I think there will be a place for the virtual to exist at the same time. One of the good things about this is when we all get together at, say, the convention center to hold these things, there are people that won't go because, like, for example, people with PTSD don't get along great in crowds, or people who are deathly afraid of going outside their home. Those people can now attend conventions. The introverts among us, they don't have to leave their home and they're secure of their library, whatever, and can still be there doing the same things with all the people and not have that fear overcome them, right? So I think this is a great way to get more people into the hobby, as well as keeping the same energy going for the rest of us that have been going. Some changes, I think. Like we talked about, the commercialism of it, the sales, the capitalism of it. Instead of going to floor sales, now there'll be more online sales. You may walk up to a booth and they may say, "We don't have anything here. You can go to an online store," which means they don't have to carry product in.
Right.
I mean, they might have like a display or two. They don't have to carry product in. They don't have to carry product out. It saves them time and money, which lowers prices for all of us, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
I think board game creators will also come up with apps to do something similar. So if you, instead of paying $50 for a board game that may sit on your shelf, never opened, a similar game that's an app that you can play with your friends on whatever devices for $25, that's going to open up. More people are going to buy their stuff, and it brings them money, so it'll continue to go like that. I also see tabletop devices making way for virtual devices. So instead of having game maps, you're going to have your Roll20 maps. Instead of all the minis that we currently sell, it'll be sprites. Like you can buy things to make your character look exactly how you want it to. And I think that is a way things are going to go. I think people will always want dice because you'll still have your home games. So I don't think dice sales are going anywhere. But dice rollers, like you may be able to customize your dice in a dice roller, would certainly benefit from that as well. Hi, dice bag.
That's a really interesting point. Like having a virtual component to your everyday tabletop game, having like a virtual dice bag, having like a virtual minis case that you can. I know that we've talked several times about the idea of, basically what D20 is doing, but more in a 3-dimensional sort of influence. So like, if you played with a VR headset on or something, an augmented reality headset or an augmented reality app or something like that, to be able to see what your character would normally see in your tabletop game, walking around and seeing. If you're a dwarf, maybe you have dark vision and you can see further than the human who's standing behind you with a torch in his hand, kind of thing.
But don't let the human stand in front of you because you won't be able to see anything.
Right, exactly. Or if you're a halfling, being able to see, shorter things. I don't know.
Under table's very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kid's eye view. Yeah.
Right. And Deb, you look like you had something that you wanted to say as well.
Well, it was a step onto that, which is, I think it's a combination of what several people said was, what about the virtual reality? But in our virtual reality, we are sitting around a table together. So, I look across and I see Don, but I see Don's character, or maybe Don decides that it's him that I see. So I don't know. I see somebody across from me. Yeah. The idea of because ultimately what we would all want is put on a VR headset and then we're there, like we're in Galarian, right? Or we're in
Void
Middle
for Dungeons
Earth
and Dragons,
right?
Yeah,
that would be that's basically a holodeck, right?
Which I'm sure that I'm sure Tracy has never thought about anything like that.
No, I'm sure he's never imagined it before. But
that's right.
Ultimately, could that be where it goes? Yeah. But I think. Yeah, I love the idea of being able to put on a headset and then sit, and I actually can see my game master. I could actually see, if people move their head.
Good grief, my man. Good grief.
Cranked around here.
She said game master.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if that would be an app. I like the idea of the app of the virtual minis app. So maybe you have tons of different cool
and there's already
tokens that you could put into like Roll20.
Right. I was going to say like Hero Lab already exists. So you can create your own 3D pattern for them to actually either send to you so you can print your own.
Hero Forge.
That's what I meant, not Hero Lab. But thank you.
And Eldritch Foundry.
Right. So get together.
So it wouldn't be, I don't think it would be very difficult for them to be able to just add that as a digital skin that you can put on your 3D model at home. You know what I mean?
I can see that. I will tell you the Hero Forge coming very soon, currently in beta, is providing color for their 3D printouts and token generation.
Yeah.
So that you can generate actual tokens from your 3D minis. So when you bring a token into a Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or 3D Virtual Tabletop, which was another one that kickstarted.
That's right.
Lots of options there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are getting close on time, so we're going to go ahead and end our talk for episode 213 of the Established Facts. We want to thank everybody who, first of all, thank you all for coming and joining me on the mics. Lance, Avital, Dr. Deb, Joshi. Thank you guys so much. Avital, congratulations. And then as far as any of you who have gotten a chance to watch this video, whether it's live or picking it up on the on-demand stuff, thank you so much for joining us for episode 213 of The Established Facts. Now, on the last episode of The Established Facts, episode 212, we established that the greatest villain of all time is Batman. If you have questions about that, please go back and listen to episode 212. It's a doozy. And so for episode 213, our virtual PopCon anniversary episode, we have established Living Room Con 2020, the best 365 days of gaming. Thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 213. We love you, and we will check you later.
Oh, look, KJ's back.
Hey, KJ.
Bye. Virtual hug, everybody. Virtual hug.
Hey, love you all.
Yes, next year we're back next to each other. Table to table.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we're in.
Next
All
year
right.
in Indianapolis.
Before you guys go, can you give us your social media handles one more time? All the places we can find you.
Joshy?
You can find us at www.theestablishedfacts.com, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts, Twitter at NDTEF, and Instagram on The Established Facts. We are on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play Music, and all of our episodes are available to download from the website as well.
That's right.
Wonderful. All right, guys, we will see you hopefully in person soon and talk.
Yes.
Love you all. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Love you guys.
All right.
Thanks, KJ, for letting us be here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much.